Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we'll be counting down our picks for the top 10 works of art ruined by morons.
It takes a lot of thought and a lot of experimentation on mock-ups before you can even come to touching the painting.
For this list, we'll be looking at priceless works of art and items of historical significance that were damaged or destroyed by vandalism, criminal activity, or mere carelessness. This means that, infamous as it is, the poorly restored Ecce Homo fresco doesn't count, as the elderly woman behind it, Cecilia Jimenez, had her heart in the right place and the priest's permission. Which act of vandalism do you think is the most unforgivable? Let us know in the comments.
If you like what you're hearing, be sure to check out the full song at the link below.
Number 10, Picasso's Rêve.
An extremely famous Picasso from one of his most celebrated periods, 1932.
We can understand the excitement in selling an esteemed work of art, but we can't help but cringe after hearing stories like this. As the story goes, in 2006, American casino tycoon Steve Wynn had just agreed to sell Picasso's Le Rêve for a whopping $139 million, which would have made it the most expensive artwork ever sold. Upon showing it off to his friends, Wynn accidentally put his elbow clean through it.
I can't believe I've done it. Oh no.
One explanation given was that Wynn has retinitis pigmentosa, an eye disorder that in his case affects his peripheral vision. Whether you chalk it up to that or otherwise just general carelessness, it didn't stop Wynn from selling the restored version to the same buyer 7 years later for $155 million. How does that happen? Number 9, Rembrandt's The Night Watch. This famous Rembrandt is possibly his most recognizable artwork, considered by many to be his masterpiece, but apparently not by all. The Night Watch, as it's generally called, has been continually vandalized during its lifetime, most impetuously back in 1715 when large sections were cropped so it would fit in a certain frame.
To fit in between two doors. It didn't fit, so the movers took scissors and cut on all sides strips off.
But it was attacked in the 20th century too, notably in 1975 by Dutch teacher named Wilhelmus de Rijk. De Rijk was psychologically unstable, slashing the painting and claiming he had been bidden to do so by God. But the disaster struck again in 1990 when an escaped psychiatric patient threw acid at it. Luckily, the dedicated restoration efforts of many specialists have kept the painting safe. For now, anyway. Number 8, Rothko's Black on Maroon.
Either leave ink and leave more of Rothko's material intact, or you go slightly deeper and you forfeit a little bit of Rothko's pigment in order to get more ink out.
Modern art is known to elicit a wide range of emotions in people. There are those who appreciate the deceptively complex works of people like Mark Rothko, and those who think large paintings of blocks of color are an affront to great artists of the past. In 2012, a painting from Rothko's Black on Maroon series that was on display in London's Tate Modern Gallery was vandalized by a man named Włodzimierz Umanets.
It's almost like a physical attack. I mean, I was shocked.
He wrote his name on the corner of the painting along with a message calling it a potential piece of yellowism, an obscure art movement.
From philosophical or intellectual point of view, he is not guilty, from my point of view, because he did something new.
He said it wasn't vandalism, but the courts disagreed, giving him 2 years in prison. Number 7, Napoleon's chair. One of the most famous leaders in history, Napoleon Bonaparte presided over the First French Empire for a decade. But everyone needs to sit down every now and then, even when busy waging war across Europe. This chair was once sat on by Napoleon himself and was on loan to France's Museum of Fine Arts in Ajaccio when an unassuming security guard decided he needed to have a small rest. The chair's leather got torn underneath the guard's weight. It's highly likely that he didn't know of the chair's significance, but the damage was done. Thankfully, an expert was able to repair it. Number 6, prehistoric cave paintings. A group of French scouts made the news back in the 90s when they decided to clean up their small village of Bruniquel in the south of France. They didn't limit themselves to simple street art and decided to check out a local cave called the Cave of Maillère Supérieur to get rid of some of its old graffiti. But that graffiti turned out not to be graffiti at all. It was a pair of prehistoric cave paintings of bison, but they scrubbed them clean. We can't understand the mistake. Street artists everywhere are always showing off their bison graffiti, right? Number 5. The Gardner Museum Heist. One of the most notorious art heists in history, the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum in Boston had 13 invaluable paintings and artifacts stolen from its halls in 1990. 2 men dressed as cops broke into the museum, tied up the guards, and carried out the robbery.
They spent 81 minutes in the museum, which is an inordinately long time for a theft of anything, never mind art.
The theft shook the art world, with multiple Rembrandts among those taken. Horrifyingly, these paintings were not properly removed from their frames, but violently cut out, damaging them in a way any art aficionado would find difficult to come to terms with. To this day, there is a $10 million reward for the recovery of the paintings, but nobody has come forward. Some of the leading theories involve organized crime. Number 4. Michelangelo's Pieta. Laszlo Toth was an ordinary geologist until one fateful day in 1972 when he decided to take a hammer to Michelangelo's Pieta. Pieta is a sculpture of the Virgin Mary holding the body of Christ after his crucifixion, and is a stunning work of art that has been displayed in St. Peter's Basilica in the Vatican for over 500 years. What could have possibly motivated Toth to destroy something so beautiful? Well, according to what he was yelling at the time, it was because he believed himself to be the reincarnation of Christ. Toth went unpunished because he wasn't sound of mind, and the Pieta has since been repaired. Number 3. Tutankhamun's mask.
Uh-oh.
You broke it!
In 2015, people realized that something was amiss with the death mask of Egypt's most famous pharaoh, namely King Tut's distinct beard. It turns out the piece had been broken off accidentally by employees at the Egyptian Museum in Cairo.
That's during an attempt to change the light situation in the display case. The mask was touched and the beard fell apart.
The beard was noted to be fragile, so if the workers had reported it right away, it would have been a simple fix. However, they didn't do that. Instead, they mixed up a batch of epoxy and stuck the beard back on, making a big mess that they had to scrape off. The mask was thankfully restored, and those responsible could stand trial for negligence. Number 2. Monet's Argenteuil Basin with a single sailboat. Have you ever seen a painting that made you so angry that you just had to punch it? No? Well, you must not have a lot in common with Andrew Shannon, who did just that to a Monet in 2012. Shannon initially claimed to the authorities that it was a simple mistake anybody could have made, but unfortunately for him, he was caught red-handed on CCTV, putting his fist through the canvas. But the story doesn't end there, because when Dublin police searched Shannon's home, they found at least one stolen painting. Yes, far from now knowing the value of a Monet, Shannon quickly became Ireland's most infamous art thief and was sentenced to 5 years for vandalism.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications.
Number 1. Banksy's Morons. Oh, the irony.
4-2, back to James, 4,200, I'm selling for 4,000.
In 2006, Banksy revealed an artwork called Morons, which directly mocks the incredibly expensive auction of Vincent van Gogh's Sunflowers in 1987, and the people who pay millions of dollars for art. Then in 2021, Morons was purchased for $95,000 by some real-life morons who proceeded to burn it to a crisp. They then turned it into an NFT because of course they did, and began claiming that it was the future of art.
By doing this, the value of the physical piece will then be moved on to the NFT, being the only way you can have this piece anymore.
It was a move highly criticized both within and outside the art world, as is the practice of carving out other Banksy street art. Sadly, the NFT was then sold for upwards of $380,000, proving that sometimes moronic behavior really does pay.
Do you agree with our picks? Let us know in the comments. And hey, if you're a fan of the song playing right now, be sure to check out the music video for it right here.